Hi, everybody. Today I'm going to talk about the 1940s, the CIO, African American Unionists, and the Communist Party. So, the CIO is the Congress of Industrial Organizations. In the 1880s, we have the Knights of Labor, and they enroll large numbers of blacks. From 1905 to 1917, we have the Wobblies, the Industrial Workers of the World, and they enroll large numbers of African Americans. But the mainstream labor movement, as represented by the American Federation of Labor, AFL, largely ignores blacks. And when they try to organize blacks, they turn African Americans against the labor movement by trying to organize them in segregated unions that have fewer rights than their white counterparts. So about the only thing the AFL succeeds in doing is alienating black workers. 500,000 black workers joined unions affiliated with the CIO during the 1940s, and these black unionists are in the vanguard of efforts to stamp out racism. So strong was the CIO's commitment to black workers that the Crisis, a black newspaper, called the CIO a lamp of democracy. Before the civil rights movement of the 1960s, there are a number of African American run newspapers with all black staffs because African American reporters could not get jobs on newspapers that were not black owned. After the 1960s civil rights movement, African American reporters are able to get hired at white newspapers, and the black newspapers pretty much die out. The second factor that brought African Americans into unions during the Second World War is the strength of the labor movement while Franklin Roosevelt is president. Organized labor helps to elect and re-elect FDR, and militant unions push him to do more for labor. So remember, we talked about in 1935, the Wagner Act is enacted, which gives workers the right to organize unions. And during the Second World War, the National Labor Relations Board, known by its initials as NLRB, is formed. While the National Labor Relations Board's rulings are not always enforced, the NLRB offers workers a government ally in their struggle against employers that will not negotiate with them. One of the rules enforced by the National Labor Relations Board was commonly referred to as one man, one vote, and it undercut the AFL's attempts to form segregated unions for blacks. One man, one vote was just that. The NLRB did not support segregated black unions, and it denied attempts to let blacks into unions and then give them fewer rights. The third factor that brings African Americans into labor unions during World War II is the Communist Party. The Communist Party had what we would call an affirmative action policy. They recognized the historic discrimination against African Americans, and they made a commitment to not only recruit black workers, but to train them as party leaders. They were probably more interested in recruiting blacks and training them as leaders than any other multiracial organization in the nation at the time. In the 1940s, observers referred to the civil rights movement of the 40s, whose core was made up of unionized African American workers. Unionized blacks made progress in the 1940s, not because they were granted it, but because they fought for it. Okay, so hop on to Edmodo, answer the review questions, and I'll see you next time.